So that data is just about 6 weeks out from when the FAFSA started. So they're already leading. So we're excited to see how it's going to continue through the rest of this year. So we will, just for some housekeeping, we will have both presentations. So Debbie's going to present and Rogelio is going to present. They're going to talk about how they collaborate a lot on these efforts. And then at the end, we will take time to answer any questions that you may have. So if you want to put your questions in the chat, or if you want to let us know your questions, we'll take everyone off mute at the end, but we'll save, like I said, time for Q&A at the end. So gather all your questions, and like I said, this webinar will be recorded, so we'll be posting it and sending it out to all those who are unable to attend in person. So without further ado, I'm gonna have Rogelio go ahead and kick us off.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And Julie, you can see the screen, right? Just to confirm.
Looks great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for all of you that are here. Thank you to my colleagues at Washington as well and at Glendale High School. So my name is Rogelio Ruiz. As Julie mentioned, I am a counselor that is actually get the opportunity to be split between Glendale and Washington High School. So I'm going to be presenting on the best practices that we had here at Glendale High School. But before we get started, I just want to give you guys an overview of what I will be sharing with you all. So I'm going to give you some information about our demographics here at Glendale High School. What were some of the things that we did before the FAFSA? I'm going to talk about a new leaf, the Vita program, and how this was instrumental in the success both here at Glendale and Washington. And then what we did during the FAFSA, and what are some of the best practices that I have seen, or we have seen here at Glendale. So a little bit about Glendale High School. In case you did not know about Glendale High School, we were founded in 1911. So we were actually founded before Arizona became a state. Glendale is one of our oldest high schools here in the Glendale Union High School District, and we are one of 9 high schools. We are located here in downtown Glendale. We are ranked by the U.S. News and World Report. We are a Title I school, and one of the beauties that I love being as a counselor here at Glendale is that we have over 20 different languages spoken by our students here in the Glendale High School. Our team is composed of 4 counselors, so I make the 5th counselor, but Miss Campbell we have Miss Campbell, Miss Barden, Mr. White, Miss Stevenson, and myself. In addition, we have a career specialist, Mr. Gallegos, who also assists as our team, assisting our seniors with FAFSA completion. A little bit of our demographics. So currently we have about 1,800 students. Here is a breakdown of all of our students. So 73% of our students identify as Hispanic or Latino, 10% white, 10% Black, 4% Asian, 3% Native American or American Indian, Alaskan Indian. And then just other demographics that are not shown on the screen, about 83% of our students are qualify for free or reduced lunch. And 30% of our student body here at Glendale High School are considered special education, SPED, or English language learners, EL. So 30% of our students are EL and or SPED. So when we were looking at what we could do to improve our FAFSA completion or work towards our FAFSA completion, we looked at what is our need. So the first thing was our need is, how can we get more of our students to complete the FAFSA? And as we broke down, who are the players, the key players with FAFSA completion, we also identify a need as our families needing to understand the education system. So having a high population of first generation Latino students, we do see that many of our students many of our families have a education level and they may not have gone to school here in the United States, so they might need an understanding of the education system, a better understanding of the FAFSA. So as a former active ASU employee, I would oftentimes volunteer in our FAFSA, and we would just get students, we would get students to complete the FAFSA, but there wasn't much education for the families. So we identified that we wanted our families and our students to have a better understanding of the FAFSA. And then also for them to understand post-secondary, what is the difference between a community college, a university, a vocational school. There was also concerns about status. You know, what do we do for our students who can't complete a FAFSA due to their status? And so, you know, we identify that as a need. And then also one of the biggest needs as a former ASU employee or as a volunteer with FAFSA at multiple schools was the completion of the taxes. It seemed that, you know, oftentimes students would get, their parents wouldn't file taxes or their taxes would complete incorrectly. So we identified that was also a need for our community. So these are the steps that we did. So pre-FAFSA, we had a senior parent night. We had these presentations both in English and in Spanish. And the presentations covered the following topics. So we did a whole presentation on post-secondary education options. So we talked about community college, university, vocational schools, trade schools, and the workforce. We also had a presentation on financial aid. And again, what was neat is that our counselors, we had, each counselor had a different breakout room. And myself, I did the Spanish since I happen to be bilingual. And this was an opportunity for our families to feel comfortable, to share their thoughts. And we found that very successful as we had families, you know, who would come to you. And then as a counselor or as an educator, we had an idea of what we could do or what to expect during our FAFSA night. In addition, we had a community fair. And with our community fair, we tried to invite multiple organizations. So we had Access ASU, we had the Be a Leader Foundation, A New Leaf, which is a nonprofit organization. We had Aliento, which is an organization here in Phoenix that works primarily with our undocumented community. So again, we had a whole table for them, and they were the ones who also provided a presentation for our non-FAFSA eligible students. We had our, the rest of our community colleges, our universities. We had Chicanos por la Causa, and also Arizona at Work and Quick Trip, which were more of our workforce development organizations. And we finished off the night with a parent-student survey, so we can gather some information and data in terms of what else we could do to support our students this upcoming year. So just some pictures of the event. As you can see, I'm the bald man right there doing the presentation, but I did the presentation in Spanish. And then the other, my colleagues here at Glendale, the counselors, they all had their own presentations that they were leading. And we also tried to follow, COVID restrictions or protocols. So we all wear a mask and we try to space it out. So that's why we did have multiple sessions, multiple rooms. So pre-FAFSA, we did a lot of marketing. We utilized the Google Classroom. So we're, constantly posting information, announcements for our students. We created flyers, and with creating flyers, we make sure that our flyers were also in Spanish and in English. Our government teachers and our English teachers were very gracious in letting us have some time so that we can walk our students through the the FSA-ID completion. So we try to do FSA-ID the week before the FAFSA. We learned that with the FSA-ID, if a student completed it the day of the FAFSA, they only had 45 minutes to enter and complete it. So we tried to do it a week before. So we try to hit as many of our students that were able to complete the FSA-ID the week before. So again, we also made announcements, robocalls, and remind text messages were sent to our families, just reminding them about the FAFSA night. So this is just a sample slide as far as the presentations that we did to our seniors. So again, in the senior classrooms, as we were creating FSA-IDs, we were giving them a breakdown of the financial aid process. What was the difference between a grant, a loan, a scholarship, or a work study? What were the different sections that the students needed to provide or were going to complete as they filed their FAFSA. So we try to provide our students with as much information leading to the FAFSA. As you can see, this is just a sample of the flyer that we created. I'm not an expert with creating flyers, but we try to, give our families and our students the information as far as what to bring. So we asked our students to bring their Chromebooks, their FSA-IDs as they had created it, their social security numbers, alien registration number, their W-2 forms, driver's license, their tax information. So we wanted our students and family to gather as much of the information or the documents that they needed to complete the FAFSA. So one of the unique things that we identified as, one of the things that we identified as a need was that our families were completing their taxes, or, they were going to organizations or agencies or individuals, and they were either, telling families to file a certain way. If a family was married, they would say, oh, if you file head of household, you may earn X amount of money. So again, as the parents are filing their taxes, or as they're filing their FAFSA, they see that this is an error in their FAFSA. So we invited a new leaf. A new leaf has a program called the Vita Program, which stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. So this is a free service to the community, and what they do is they help families complete their taxes. So again, here's just some basic information. It is composed of accountants, financial experts, community members. All of their volunteers, they have to go through a rigorous recruit and volunteer IRS approval training. It's 40 hours. But what they do provide is free preparation for federal and Arizona state taxes. And this is free to any families or individuals who make less than $57,000. So again, going back to, as I shared with you all, when I worked for the university and I was helping the FAFSA events, oftentimes we would get the question of families, hey, we're mixed status. I haven't filed taxes, or I filed taxes under this name. So as a FAFSA expert, sometimes it was hard because we weren't tax experts, and we would get these questions. So having the Vita program at our site was so crucial, because we didn't have to worry about, giving the wrong information or focusing a lot on the taxes. We would just ask the volunteers if they can speak to the families separately. And then that's where either if there was an error on their taxes or they needed to make an amendment, they were there to assist them. One of the things that I saw at one of the schools was that we had a parent who had he had every single year, and he had all his documents, but he had not filed taxes for the last 3 years. And so it was great to connect the family to this resource. And all it was that they were setting appointments. They were not doing the taxes at the site. They were just, setting up appointments with these families so that these families can get their taxes completed for free. So this year, actually, thanks to one of our colleagues here, Glendale High School we have about 12 students who are going through the training to actually become experts in helping families complete the taxes. So our hope is that by 2022, 2023, Glendale High School will also become a Vita site, and our current students will be helping the community with filing their taxes for free. So some of the benefits, as I kind of mentioned, is that our families were able to set up appointments to file their taxes. They were getting started or getting that process of getting an ITIN number if they hadn't had an ITIN number. And again, our FAFSA experts were now focused only on the FAFSA and not necessarily on taxes. And now, many of our families have the brochure or the information for next year when it comes to filing their taxes. So during the FAFSA, one of the things, again, the benefits of working at Glendale and at Washington is, I saw best practices. So I saw some of the great things that Debbie was doing at Washington. And so, having that conversation with Mr. Gallegos, our career specialist, of like, what can we do? Or what is the step where I saw this work really well over here? Here's what we can also do. So we also tried to provide a FAFSA overview presentation before families came and did their FAFSA. It was optional for our families if they wanted to. And so we had our greeters, we had a sign-in table, we had the sets for completing the FAFSA, the handouts. They were both in English and in Spanish. We were able to translate those. And then again, we had volunteers to assist with the FAFSA completion. We had university, community college, community partners. But one of the things that we also tried to do for volunteers is we tried to, I think we identified, again, a need that is important, that we get bilingual staff to help our families, as 73% of our student body was identified as Hispanic. But we also tried to do bilingual zones. So we had signs that said, Spanish, English. So it was a lot easier for our volunteers to, go as they're greeting or talking to a family, they can say, oh, they can see the sign that said Spanish. So then they can help the family in Spanish, or vice versa. If they needed someone in English, they had somebody to assist with English. We also had access to the printers. That's also very instrumental, especially for our students whose parents can't file or can't complete an FSA ID. So we had access to printers, making sure that we would print the signature page, and then as a school, we would be mailing them out the following day. So here are just some pictures of the FAFSA night. And again, we tried to follow our COVID protocol. We tried to space our tables, and we also told our families, our students, to only bring one parent with them. It was kind of hard, you know, at that point, but we did our best to just accommodate as many of our students and families. So our FAFSA event was from 5:30 to 8 p.m. And so just some best practices that I would encourage, you know, all of our educators is to identify your need. You know, what is your need as you look at your demographics, as you look at, you know, if you're a counselor who is maybe, you know, in Nogales and Yuma and Flagstaff, you know, what is the need that you see in your community? Because all of our communities may look a little bit different. Identifying who are your key players, your partners. Again, we really work with our teachers. Some of our teachers are giving our students extra credit. Who are those universities, the community colleges, you know, those experts that can come and assist you at the FAFSA night. Utilizing your resources. So I know Julie and her team, you know, they do have a lot of resources for us on the website. If you haven't familiarized yourself with the website, I mean, you can see that they have a lot of these flyers in English and Spanish, or videos for you as counselors, or videos for the family. So I'm very big on not reinventing the wheel, but utilizing what's available to you. Another thing is, don't make the assumption. I think oftentimes we might be driven by our numbers, and we want to make sure that our students are completing the FAFSA. But, you know, don't make that assumption that a student doesn't want to fill out the FAFSA. You know, have an opportunity to talk to the student. And as we get to talk to the students, that's where we discover more, and we get to really get to know, you know, what is the challenges that these students are facing as far as completing the FAFSA. Oftentimes when I worked with students, it was like the biggest fear was that the student living situation. So especially with our mixed status families, you might have students whose parents can't file taxes, or they don't file taxes, so then the sibling will claim them. So in a student's mind, they just feel like this situation is not going to allow me the opportunity to file taxes because my sibling or my aunt or my cousins, claim me on the taxes. And again, it's just helping the students to get the information, the right information, so that they can make those decisions. Teamwork. I think teamwork is so important. We can't just rely on our career specialist, or we can't just rely on that counselor that works with seniors to move the needle forward with FAFSA completion. We all have to work together to assist each other in making sure that we're helping our entire senior class. And, you know, the last pointer that I would say is plan ahead. You know, I've noticed that when we plan ahead and we have everything on time, we feel like we know what we're doing. And so now you have an idea, if you're a counselor and you have to stay late, you know, what days you are having to stay late. And, you know, we're not having to plan the FAFSA night the day before or the week before and feeling like you're overwhelmed and just trying to do something. So even if that means not having to do your FAFSA the first week of October, that is okay. You know, you don't have to do it the first week when it opens. You can always plan ahead and have a successful FAFSA night. So outcomes, you know, one of the things that I'm proud to see here with our Glendale High School, and I just took this today from the dashboard, but we have seen a 14% increase as far as our students completing the FAFSA here at Glendale High School. So we are up at 27% compared to last year, 13%. So that is all I have. I'm gonna give Debbie the opportunity to touch more on the work that that Washington is doing. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and we're gonna be taking questions at the end. So I'm gonna turn it now to Debbie.
Thank you, Rogelio. Those are all amazing tips, and we're very excited to hear from Debbie, who is the counselor at Washington High School. And a lot of these efforts that Debbie is going to talk about are new, innovative, and a little bit different than Glendale, but again, very collaborative. So Debbie, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
And Debbie, I muted you just so that you're aware, you need to unmute yourself before you start.
Just need to unmute yourself, Debbie.
Unmute.
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you to Julie and Lauren for this award to Washington. We here at Washington are pretty proud. It takes a lot of work to get the FAFSA going, get it done, get the kids to be successful, and I have to commend all of my helpers, all my workers, all my volunteers here at Washington, because it takes more than just one person to put it on. So here is my slides for the best practices here at Washington High School. Oh, too fast. First off, a little bit about myself. I've been a college and career specialist here at Washington for 6 years. Of course, I'm a grandmother of 5, a mother of 5 kids, and now I'm a great grandmother of 2. When I started here at Washington, I have and always had a great passion to help kids. They need to be successful. A lot of my seniors are told before they graduate that, hey, you've got maybe 2 weeks before you graduate, and it's a big old world out there. It's going to hit you upside the head. Do you have your plan? Are you ready? And you know, most of them are, but a lot of them aren't. So here at Washington, we try to make sure that all of them have a plan before they step out of our doors. I want you to introduce you to our amazing and awesome counseling team. We have Cheryl Williams. She is our department chair here. We have Grace Conway, Dean Dahlstead. We have Stephen Leonard, and now we have Rogelio Ruzzi that shares Washington and Glendale. These counselors are amazing, absolutely amazing. Here at Washington, we do quite a bit of piggybacking. They help me, I help them on everything as far as events, getting into classrooms, talking to all grade levels, not just seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, whatever it is. We do a lot of work together. So the team here works pretty good. We have great success. Everything that we host, they're always at, or whatever they host, I'm at. So a little bit of demographics for the 21-22. You can see we have total enrollment this year of 1832. Our senior class is about 375. And of course, Washington is a Title I school. We have about 70% of our students do qualify for the National School Lunch Program. And you can see the percentages of the different cultures here at Washington. Our college stats so far here at Washington, this is just beginning because a lot of the schools, especially ASU, has not got out their stats yet. We do have a lot of kids that have applied and got accepted. NAU was quick this year. They got out their scholarships early. I know we have more right now as far as the Lumberjacks, U of A, the Wildcat distinctions. Grand Canyon University, we've increased there, and the Maricopa Community Colleges, we got a good start at 19. The military, which is our last one, has had a really big increase in 1 month here at Washington. We've had 10 students enlist in the different branches of the military, so which is good. This is just great opportunities everywhere. And you can see the last year, the scholarships in the amount of financial aid was tremendous, absolutely tremendous here at Washington. Due to the COVID that hit, I was surprised we did have that much, but it was huge. Next slide, the timeline. This is the timeline for Washington. This is what we do here. We get started early. I start handing out senior pamphlets at registration, walk-through registration. I managed to catch most all of the seniors that come through and give them their packets. August, we get started, we hit them hard. The first 2 weeks of August, getting their credit checks, talking to them. Then the first part of September, we do their FSIDs in their English classes. Then we start the college workshops going on all month in the Media Center, getting them prepared for our FAFSA, which is our first event, first part of October. And then the FAFSA events go on through the year. So you kind of see what we do throughout the year, especially just for the seniors. We try to get them ready. So by the time April comes, they're pretty much done with their next steps after for colleges. So they're ready for graduation. They can just kind of sit back and relax and don't have to worry about scrambling to get paperwork in. So pretty busy. The little thing in the corner, August to April, every Wednesday, I rolled out a new program this last August. It's called CCM in the Quad for our seniors, but it's not just for our seniors. It's also for our freshmen, sophomore, and juniors. It's called College Careers and Military. I have approximately 15 to 18 representatives on campus every Wednesday from 11:30 to 1. They have a table set up. They go around, all the kids go around, answer questions, but it gives them exposure to find out what's out there. And a lot of the seniors visit the colleges, ask questions constantly, getting things ready for next steps, whatever they need to do. But not only seniors, our freshmen this year have jumped on the bandwagon really quick. They're asking all kinds of questions to get their plan ready, because I'd love to have them all have their plan ready by the time they get to be a senior. But so having this every Wednesday, it is phenomenal. I use a lot of colleges. I use a lot of career people. I use a lot of community service people around here. I invite them to come for a table display. We've had job fairs going on where they actually, for instance, the state fair, they were here, had their table. They actually hired on the spot to give the kids a job for 1 solid month. Very successful. The kids really look forward to Wednesdays in the quad. So next is some resources for the seniors, tips for the seniors. These are kind of things that we hand out at the beginning of the year to all of them. Scholarships, all the different search engines that they can get going on. Not only do we do this for seniors, but we do hand out all the scholarships to all grade levels. So students need to get started as a freshman. Some more resources for the seniors. We do the FAFSA presentations. Everything's on Google Classroom, Senior Google Classroom. We put everything in there and we tell them at the beginning of the year, give them the code so they can get on. Everything goes in the Google Classrooms, not only for seniors, but also for all grade levels, especially scholarships, testing, everything goes in there. So the kids really utilize that. A lot of our tools that we provide is mass emails. We set appointments to get the seniors in. We do announcements through the week, reminding seniors what's coming up, what they need to do, and then tracking, a lot of tracking. I'm very persistent person. I do not take no for an answer. I'm constantly hounding the seniors. They get tired of hearing from Mrs. Lohr. Mrs. Lohr, you sent me another email. Yeah, you're not done yet. So it kind of keeps them going because they're constantly getting emails from me. So we can get their FAFSA completed or whatever they need to get done for college as far as next steps. This is another resource handout at the beginning of the year. We put down, the counselors and I get together and we set all our dates. And then we make up the flyer for the seniors so they know every date that the seniors need to know and get things done and take part in. And then we give them the what to bring when we come into the classrooms for the FSID. Same thing, how to apply to the university as far as workshops, what they need to bring for that, and then what they need to bring for the FAFSA nights. And you can make up your own, handouts, whatever you want to do. We just try to do it so the most important things are touched on. Then we hand out more resources. Like I said, all this is put into their Google Classroom so they can refer back to it. A lot of this is put at the tables for FAFSA night. College applications at the tables, they can grab the flyers. Just kind of stuff, important stuff that they need to know, and they can refer back to as they're making up either their application or their FSID or whatever it may be. Also scholarship information for the seniors, not only for the seniors, but also for our undocumented students. We try to make sure that all our undocumented achieve their college educations. So we have lots of websites for them. Let's see, what else? More scholarships that go unclaimed that a lot of people don't know about. And this not only for seniors again, but all this stuff is put into their Google Classroom. Flyers, I start making flyers up the beginning of the school year. The upcoming events flyers I make up, it's every month. It gets posted everywhere on the campus. I send it out to every teacher on our campus, and they share it in their classroom with all the students. There's important dates on there, what's coming up. So most all the kids do know, and the teachers really help out with reminding the students of what's coming up. The other flyers for our CCM Wednesdays in the quad, and that's posted in the classrooms and all over the campuses. Next is our senior flyers for FAFSA night. These are posted again, like I said. We do send out postcards to the students and parents, letting them know when it is, English, Spanish. We tell them, we show them what to bring. We give them the dates so they can kind of choose. We'd like to have them all here early, but sometimes it goes till December. What else? Let's see, more flyers. There's just, you cannot get enough tools for these kids, let me tell you. And you can't, it's just like that old saying, you can't lead a horse to drink. So we try to provide everything we can do for the students. You can't make them do it, but if you provide all the tools, hopefully it's up to them to get into that gym and get going. We had we do honors luncheons for the seniors. GCU provides it. They bring lunch for our honors students, our AP kids. The kids really enjoy that. They hear a little bit about the honors programs at the colleges. They enjoy having, of course, they enjoy having lunch provided instead of eating the school lunch. This is our FAFSA, when FAFSA hits, this is the letter that we send home to all our parents or guardian of the senior student, letting them know, what FAFSA, what to bring, the steps to completing it. So they kind of have a heads up before they actually come. One thing I did find out quite a few years ago, my first FAFSA, it's like that old saying in that movie, Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. So I decided that I'm going to do the same thing that first year. I didn't do it this year because of the COVID, but the first year we did it, I opened up the daycare because a lot of our families have to come right at dinner time. The kids are getting their kids from daycare. So the kids get restless, the little ones. So I opened up our daycare and we provided that for our families, and we also provided food. I tell you what, if you serve food, they will come. They were able to have their food after they completed their FAFSA. They could go over into our cafeteria and help themselves. And I tell you, it was very successful that first year. So every year after that, I haven't really served the food other than pizza, But this FAFSA we did, cookies were donated from a community resource here, our local hospital, which is close to us. They donated 12 dozen homemade cookies. And one of our colleges donated pizza, and we had water. And it seems to be very successful because, you know, parents are coming here at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, and that's their dinner time. So that old saying, if you build it, they'll come. So that seems to work really well in our community is food, they will come. Some more information that we send out to parents so they're pretty well aware. Any questions they have, they can read about it. They're very appreciative. We've heard from a lot of parents, thank you for the information. It's great that you get it out early so we know. This year also, just like Virgilio said, we did use the tax New Leaf, which helped a lot of our parents here at Washington. So, you know, you can share those opportunities with other schools and, you know, they can try them. It does work. Here's a few pics from our FAFSA night. Like we said, we tried to cram them all in. We had English and Spanish. It's hard to keep 6 feet apart as far as the COVID, but a lot of people, the mask, they wore the mask. It wasn't mandated. We had sanitized bottles all over. It worked really well though. You try to accommodate all of them. Sometimes the schools aren't big enough, so you got to put them in more than one room. So we had like 3 rooms available. And there's a few more. It was very successful. So I enjoy putting them on. It's a lot of work, but you need to get a lot of people involved to make it successful. And let's see, a few more of the pics. And then 2019, 2020, Washington was another outstanding performance of the FAFSA. So we're pretty happy here at Washington. And like I said, I don't take no for an answer. I'm a very persistent person. It needs to get done. The stuff just has to get done, and it's only for their benefit. Like I said, we try to get it done as early as we can so the seniors can relax before their graduation. So other than that, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. Tons of great information from both schools. As you can see, you know, they definitely plan ahead. We have Rogelio's best practice tips as far as, you know, reaching out to partners. Debbie's tips as far as, I love her idea of the CCM, the college career and military. That was a pretty, you know, cool one as well for students, especially if they're thinking about going into military or other forms instead of a 2-year or 4-year university. So I'm sure everyone has questions. So we'll go ahead and open it up to a Q&A session. So if you want to go ahead and type in your question in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do it that way. Or private message us a question that you may have if you don't feel comfortable asking it in the chat or verbally, and we'll go ahead and share some time to gather some more information. So looks like we have a question that came in. It says, could you please share the name of the tax return company again?
Yep.
Oh, Rahel, I think it muted you, so you may just need to go on unmute. There we go.
Okay, perfect. So the program is called A New Leaf, and it's the Vita program. And I first came across this because the city of Phoenix offered it. And then when I wanted to, again, the idea always came to me as like, how can we get these families to do, how we assist these families, because as you know, representatives, we're not the tax experts. And so I heard about the program through the city of Phoenix. And then when I reached out to the city of Phoenix, they had actually mentioned that A New Leaf works with the West Valley high schools or the West Valley communities. So I believe the Vita program is in multiple locations. So for example, I believe they also have it in Mesa.
Awesome. And they're an absolutely great organization. And definitely there's a lot of families out there, like Rogelio mentioned, that haven't filed their taxes. So it's free, you know, to families and individuals who make less than $57,000 a year. So definitely something to take advantage of. So we have another question that came in. It says, tell me more about your appointments with seniors. Do you meet with every senior one-on-one? Is the entire counseling team helping out, or only the senior counselor?
Here at Washington, when the counselors and I go into the senior classrooms for senior credit checks, we meet with every individual senior to make sure they're on track for graduation. And then we start talking to them right away about their FAFSA, their plans. You gotta have a plan. Are you going to college, community college, university? And on all that's written down. The counselors do call the seniors in individually. I call them in here into my office if they have questions or concerns that I need to answer for them or help them with. So we kind of work together and we try to get every one of them.
Yeah, just to echo to what Debbie just mentioned, it's always hard. I think that if counselors had the opportunity to be there every single day and talk to the seniors, we would love that opportunity. But we are assigned, a certain number of caseloads, and that includes in some districts or some schools, you may have only a seniors counselor. Some of them may have, letters. I'm assigned here at Glendale HIL, so all of the students whose last name HIL, I am their assigned counselor. But we do work with our we work with our government teachers to have, as Debbie mentioned, that credit check. Are you on track? What are your post-secondary options? And that's where we as counselors, we have a Google document where we're tracking FAFSA completion, what colleges, universities they've been admitted. But I think I would say it comes down to how do we work together as one? Because, I can easily, because I'm split, I can have the least number of students. But what if I know more about how to best support an undocumented student versus my colleague? I'm just holding on this information and not helping the rest of our students. So I'm always collaborating, or we always collaborate in terms of like, hey, I'm not familiar with this process. Can you help me? And so we're always learning from each other.
Perfect. And Rogelio, you basically touched on this, but a question came in. It says, what would be your advice for schools that are struggling with capacity due to counselors leaving or retiring to help coordinate with these events? So like I said, you touched on it, but anything other that you'd like to add?
I mean, other things, every district is unique. Like I said, I know here at Glendale and at Washington, or in the Glendale Union High School District, we do have a career specialist, but I know that if you work with Holliston or Phoenix Union, they might not have a career specialist. But I would also advise, like, who are your partners within your school? So would that be the closest community college to your high school, the closest university? And again, how do you invite them? How do you work together? And I think that when having the outside perspective from a university, because I came from, Arizona State University and working with an outreach department, it was always hard for us to even get to the school. Some schools would say, oh, we don't need your services. No, thank you. And so now that I'm here, I'm just like, how do we all get all these people? Because again, it's as much as the information that I might have, I know that I don't have all the information. And there's also, a community college, a university, a vocational school, the military. And again, just looking at what is your need and where are your students wanting to go? And that's where I think you can start from there.
You can also use your teachers. I know the teachers are bombarded. I know it's tough for them and trying to teach and what they've been through in this last couple of years. But we have a lot of teachers here on campus that want all the information so they can help their seniors. They'll give extra credit and they want to make sure that they're doing it. So I do all the tracking for them and letting them know that yes, they're done, or no, could you please tell them, this and that. But we use a lot of our teachers here and they like to get involved, and especially our senior teachers. So that might be a resource for some of the schools.
Perfect. Thank you both. Any other questions at all? Like I said, lots of great info here. And we awarded these 2 schools for our FAFSA Challenge Most Innovative. We are taking nominations for November. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. So if you know of a school or your own high school that are doing great innovative things that we would love to hear about and share with other educators throughout the state, please click on the form. It's a pretty simple form. All you have to do is just let us know what great innovative things that you're doing. And then we have a committee that reviews and then awards the high schools. Washington and Glendale are a little bit different because we typically only award one high school, but since they were in the same district and do a lot of collaborative efforts, and their nomination was just so innovative in what they do as far as, tax preparation, reaching out to students, and a lot of collaborative work that they do within their district. We awarded both. And Lauren Miller's on our call today as well. She's with Education Forward Arizona and Ask Benji. So their organization awards our winners, each of our winners, a $500 scholarship opportunity for their seniors. So we're happy to say that, Glendale and Washington High School have a $500 scholarship opportunity for one of their seniors. And then obviously, during this webinar, we just want to thank you both for taking the time to put together the presentations, especially, right before holidays. So we appreciate that, and presenting with us, on a Friday. All of these tips that you've given us are great. We hope that, each of our participants on this webinar can, take away this information. I think Vita is a very important one. The collaboration, the CCM and the quad is very cool to do. So hopefully these are things that you can, take away and bring to your campus, or maybe change things up a little bit and, have it work for your population. Like Rogelia said, reach out to your students as far as know your population. That way you can reach out to your students and your families and communicate to them in a way that they'd understand the FAFSA, know what it is, because this is, foreign to a lot of people, right? So, and it's definitely ever changing. I know it changes every year and it's craziness. So we're always having to learn new things. So just, think about a family who hasn't helped their child with the FAFSA or hasn't helped a student. It's very overwhelming. So we just want to make sure that we're helping students as possible. And as Debbie said, being persistent and making sure that they get all of this work taken care of, and just kind of guiding them in the right direction. So we'll stay on for a couple more minutes. So if there's any questions, please let us know, but we will go ahead and share out the recording, and we'll also share out any materials and their presentations as well. We do have a question that came in. So it says, do you host meetings with juniors and their families leading into their senior year, basically as preparation for senior year so that they know what the FAFSA is about and they're prepared?
Yes, we do the juniors as far as setting their FSIDs up. Next semester, we'll go into the junior classes, start trying to get their FSID set up for them and their parent, giving them the same information that I just showed you that we give to the seniors. We'd like to have them all set up from the second semester over the summer. So when they come in August, hey, they're set, ready to hit the road running, and it's all done. Even giving their parents all the FAFSA information that they can gather so they're ready by the time October 1st comes.
One of the things that I just want to add, the reason why we did the senior night for us here at Glendale was the idea that, it was too late to get them their junior year because of COVID, unfortunately. But one of the things that, we talked about here at Glendale as a team, and I know we've shared that as well at Washington, is that presentation, can we get these presentations earlier to them? So, just last week or this past Tuesday at Washington, we had a sophomore parent night. And, we recognize that many of our sophomores, unfortunately, due to COVID, we have a lot of students who are deficient in their grades, or they're not going to be on track. So what can we do now to prepare them and help them to make up these credits? So one of the activities that we did is how to read a transcript with the student and their family. So again, it's just getting the families the basic need, the basic information, and to know that, at the end of the day, it is we're all working together as one, and it shouldn't just all fall on the counselor, or it should all fall on the school. But what can we do as as the parent or the guardian to be more proactive? And I believe that having these junior presentations, the thing is we already have some of these presentations as far as FAFSA completion, or sorry, overview of FAFSA financial aid, and then again, post-secondary options. So that way the families can already start having those conversations, especially, with the ACT, the SAT, a lot of these college entry exams that some of our universities will be asking our students to complete.
Great info. yes, it always helps prepare students before they get to their senior year. It's a lot of times it's their first time hearing about it, so I want to make sure that they're prepared. Any other questions at all? Great, so I think that is it, but again, we want to say thank you, Debbie and Rogelio, and all the participants today. Like I said, we will email out, oh, we have a question, Ariana.
So my quick question was, the timeline that Debbie showed was like really good. It's something that I would love to share with my school. We have an online school, so it's a little bit different. A lot of our students aren't really hoping to go to like community college or university, but they change their mind at the last minute. So will you be sharing out like either one of those, like the presentations that you guys went over?
Absolutely. So we'll share both presentations so that you have them. They'll be shared as a PDF, so you'll be able to go ahead and take any of those slides and reutilize them as your own, and any tips that they have as well.
Okay, and then really quick for Debbie, like, and I guess for Rogelio too, is getting those people to like your campus, or even like those extra, like the people that you have from the military or from certain community paths, like how did you guys go about that?
I just pick up the phone or email my contact, and I'm, like I said, I'm very persistent. I tell them what's going on at the school, what I'm doing. And it's not about me, and it's not about the name Washington. It's about my kids here at school, what they need, what they're asking for, and I need to provide it for them. So I set up a calendar, and I share it with them. They can pick the dates that they want to come. They just need to let me know. The military is very helpful. I'm a military mom 3 times. So I support the military. I support the kids going into the military, especially with our families that don't have the money to pay for college. The government will pay for it. They help me out in a lot of events here on campus where they get to know the kids, not just trying to recruit them, but I get them involved. They get to know the kids from freshmen all the way to seniors. I've had some recruiters that have been here for 4 years and just become really best friends with the kids. They help out at a lot of our events. It just works really good. So the more that you are persistent, you know, get you a list in the community of, you know, all the things that are around your school, and look up their phone numbers and just start calling, and, you know, let them know that, hey, this isn't for you and it's not for me. It's for our kids and our education. This is what they're asking for. So usually they'll come, you know, kind of put them on the spot.
Thank you. I'll have to use some of that.
Yeah. And just to add to Debbie's point too, I mean, I think I cheated because, you know, like I worked at the university and I have a lot of connections. So my network, but one of the things, you know, when I first graduated from grad school, I started at a charter school, and one of the things that I noticed was like we didn't even have a college fair. And so similar to what Debbie just mentioned, you know, I just made a professional letter, and I emailed everybody. Even I emailed out-of-state schools, and a lot of the out-of-state schools will have representatives or alumni from that live in the Valley, and they would come and represent those schools as well. But I think, you know, one point of advice is just, you know, how do you build your network or your community for your students, as Debbie mentioned. You know, at the end of the day, this is not about me and who I know. It's more about my students. And so, you know, having left ASU, I had a lot of friends that still worked in financial aid, admissions, so I would reach out to them, or I know people from the Be a Leader Foundation. So I'm always like, hey, we're having this event, you know, would you be willing to help? And so, I mean, sometimes I feel like when you have that connection with the individual, they're more willing to come to your schools and assist these students. But, you know, I think when your representatives come to and talk to you about, you know, events, or, hey, we want to start talking about recruitment, you know, that's where you can also say, hey, how about for financial aid? Do you guys also do financial aid nights? Can you guys assist us? And even with virtual, you know, I know last year COVID was a very unique year, and where we weren't doing in person, but, you know, that's where we also get the opportunity to become creative. Like, you know, can we have a webinar like this where you as the admissions representative can do a walkthrough of FAFSA and all of that. And I noticed that we did that too a lot with, Tolleson, Glendale, Phoenix Union in the past, where we're still helping the students to do the FAFSA virtually. So again, we had to just become creative, essentially.
Yeah, okay, thank you guys.
All right. I just want to toss in real quick. Debbie and Rogelio had really good points. I do a lot of outreach in my position, and most community organizations are really willing to help and they're really interested in helping. The biggest concern I hear from organizations and why they aren't able to help sometimes is just timeline. So the sooner you can reach out and let them know about events that you're hoping that they can help with, the better, because the more time they have, the more likely they will be able to help with that.
Okay, thanks you guys. We're trying to start something new for our school, especially with the students that we're getting online who have stayed online past COVID and wanting to do bigger things. We just want to make sure that they have the opportunity to like reach out to those things that they would get in school.
Absolutely. And I will put my contact information in the chat. So if any participants want a list of any of our college access partners and contacts, feel free to email them and I can send it back to you. As Lauren mentioned, it's not whether or not they want to help, it's whether if they have the capacity to do so. October, November gets very busy, as you know, and we have Arizona is 15 counties and thousands of schools. So we just want to make sure that the sooner that we can get your requests in, the sooner they'd be able to assist. And as Rogelio and Debbie had mentioned, there's tons of resources out there, so we can always direct everyone to those. But yeah, great webinar today. Lots of great Q&A questions, lots of great information. I think this kicks off our FAFSA season off to the right start. So thank you both, Rogelio and Debbie, and thank you all the participants, and thank you, Lauren, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And as mentioned, we'll have another webinar in December, early December, to award our November school to have some more innovative practices to share with you as well. So thank you all again, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.